Today, you're going to watch the most brutal, impressive, and well-crafted action movies ever made. The absolute peak of the genre. From a single woman killing 88 people, to a man beating up two brothers for 7 minutes in the most brutal fight in cinema history. Today on Cine Prime. Before John Wick, before The Raid, perfect chaos already existed. A film where gunfights are poetry and violence art. Hard-boiled has no breaks. There isn't a single shot that breathes peace. Only bodies falling, glass shattering, blood flying as if bullets were brushstrokes. Chow Yun-fat plays a cop who doesn't stop for anything, and John Woo turns him into an elegant machine of destruction. Here, every shot has rhythm. Every chase feels like a dance. But it's not empty stylization, it's pure tension. Because behind every scene, there's a scream. The scream of a broken city, of a justice that shoots before asking. The hospital scene is orchestrated madness. A shootout lasting more than 3 minutes with no cuts, no pause, bullets down hallways, explosions, patients in danger. And in the middle of it all, the protagonist, like he's alone against the world. Hard-boiled isn't aiming for realism, it's aiming for impact. And it delivers, with a camera that never shakes, with direction that never hesitates, and with violence so epic, it leaves you stunned. In 2014, action cinema changed forever, and the one responsible was John Wick. Until then, gunfights were noise and confusion. This film changed everything. Every shot had rhythm, every execution, elegance. It wasn't violence for spectacle, it was violence as language. The story is minimal. They kill his dog, steal his car, and awaken someone they should have never messed with. But what matters isn't the reason. It's how he responds. The Red Circle Club scene is a masterpiece. John moves through lights, bodies, and music, killing effortlessly, as if he were born to do it. There's no rage, no shouting, only absolute control. Keanu Reeves trains like a professional, moves like a predator. He doesn't play a man out for revenge. He plays a man who was already dead inside, and now is simply fulfilling his purpose. John Wick wasn't just a hit, it became the new standard. From that moment on, every action movie had to measure itself against it.
This is Sparta!
They were only 300, against 1 million. They knew they were going to die, and still, they chose to stay. Not to survive, but to resist, to become legend. 300 is not a historical reenactment. It's a visual opera about sacrifice, courage, and glory in its wildest form. A true story turned into absolute myth, where every image is art, every line a battle cry, and every death feels like victory. Zack Snyder understood it from the beginning. He didn't want to film a war, he wanted to immortalize a moment. And he did it by slowing down time, exaggerating movement, and turning violence into something almost religious. Leonidas doesn't lead an army, he leads a message. That there are moments in history when honor weighs more than life, and that a single act of resistance can inspire entire generations. It's pure action cinema elevated to myth, a war cry in the shape of a film, and though many have tried to imitate it, none have ever reached its height.
Ugly motherfucker.
Predator starts like any typical 80s action movie. A war film, an elite squad, heavy weapons, cliché one-liners, and muscles everywhere. But after just a few minutes, something feels off. The enemies aren't human. Bodies show up hanging, skinned. We see something watching from above. And then begins the most brutal hunt in action cinema. What started as a war movie turns into something closer to horror, with extreme action. John McTiernan turns what looked like a classic mission into a descent into paranoia. One by one, the soldiers fall. It doesn't matter how strong they are, how many bullets they fire, or how many explosions they set off. The Predator studies them, watches them, and strikes without mercy. Arnold Schwarzenegger, for the first time, doesn't play the guy who crushes everything in his path. Here, the hero ends up covered in mud, without weapons, without gear, facing a monster with nothing but instinct. Because Predator isn't just action, it's suspense, tension, pure survival, and above all, a lesson. No matter how strong you are, there's always something out there that can kill you. Right before the turn of the new millennium, The Matrix didn't just change action cinema, it changed the entire industry. It didn't just break the rules, it rewrote them. Until then, fight scenes were good. After this, they had to be perfect. It was no longer enough to shoot or punch. You had to fly, dodge bullets, and do it all with style. But the most powerful thing wasn't the form, it was the idea. What if the entire world was a lie? And which would you choose, to live in ignorant bliss or to know the awful truth? Neo was a nobody, a lost programmer, but underneath, he was the one. And to become him, he had to learn Kung Fu, face unstoppable agents, and break a system that seemed invincible. The lobby scene was a turning point. 2 people against an army, explosions, acrobatics, slow motion, and all of it perfectly choreographed. It wasn't just spectacle, it was technique with purpose. The Wachowskis didn't direct a movie, they unleashed a cultural bomb. And when it exploded, cinema was never the same.
You're saying?
Before Die Hard, heroes were invincible. After Die Hard, they started to bleed. John McClane has no superpowers, no military training, no army behind him. He's got a pistol, bare feet, and one bad night ahead. And with that, he changed action cinema forever. A building taken over, a group of perfectly armed terrorists, and in the middle, just a regular cop, alone, exhausted, out of place, but with enough guts to take them all on. Die Hard invented the modern format, a single location, real time, an improvised protagonist who survives through sheer wit and pain. Every scene is precise, every confrontation carries weight, and every wound pushes him closer to the edge. McClane isn't a Superman. He's an ordinary guy who yells, sweats, bleeds, and keeps going because he has no other choice, and that humanity made him a legend. Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber redefined the modern villain. Elegant, cold, manipulative, unforgettable. The tension between them isn't just physical, it's psychological. Die Hard wasn't just a hit, it became the new standard. The Raid is the movie that looked at modern action cinema and said, "You're not going far enough." And then it cranked the intensity to levels never seen before. A SWAT team enters a building controlled by criminals, and floor by floor, trap by trap, fight by fight, everything begins to fall apart. Shootouts with no cuts, no censorship, blood, deaths in static shots. The bullets run out quickly, and when they do, what's left is pure hand-to-hand combat. No breathers, no convenient edits, stabbings on camera, bone breaks, barely any cuts. Iko Uwais doesn't play a hero, he's a force of survival, trapped in a brutal death trap where every fight feels like the last, and every enemy seems willing to die just to take him down. But what makes the Raid historic isn't just its violence, it's the rhythm. Every hit feels real, every fall hurts, the camera doesn't shake, doesn't cut away, it lingers, forcing you to witness every impact, every broken bone, every desperate breath. The final fight against Mad Dog is one of the most brutal in history, 2 versus 1. 7 minutes of pure suffering. The bride wakes up from a coma. Everything was stolen from her, her child, her life, her identity. What follows isn't just justice, it's extermination, one by one, until no one is left. But what elevates it above everything else is that scene, the showdown against the Crazy 88. 1 woman, 1 katana, 88 enemies, and every shot feels designed to be unforgettable. Shifting music, black and white, slow motion, zooms, and uncensored explicit violence. There are no quick cuts, no shaky camera, just perfect choreography, where samurai cinema, anime, westerns, and grindhouse blend into one thing, an action film that defined an era. Gushing blood, limbs flying, overhead shots, blue lighting, black and white. Everything makes sense, everything has weight, and when it ends, you know you've just witnessed history. Kill Bill doesn't aim for realism, it aims for emotional impact, and it delivers. With violence so stylized, you can't look away. It's bloody poetry. And quite possibly, the greatest action scene ever filmed. Terminator 2 isn't just a sequel, it's a revolution. James Cameron understood. To make history, repeating wasn't enough. Everything had to be pushed to the limit. More emotion, more scale, more destruction. And he did it. The T-800 returns, but this time, he's not here to kill. He's here to save the future. And standing in his way, the most advanced enemy ever created, the T-1000, a liquid metal assassin, unstoppable, unfathomable. The motorcycle chased through the flood canals, the asylum, Cyberdyne, the final showdown in the steel mill. Every scene feels like a climax. Every minute pushes harder. But what makes Terminator 2 timeless isn't just the action, it's the soul. A machine with no emotions ends up understanding what it means to protect, to feel, and to die for something it can't fully grasp, but learns to value. Terminator 2 didn't just raise the bar, it did it on every front. Writing, direction, visual effects, pacing, emotional weight. And 30 years later, no film had taken its place, until 2015. The greatest action movie ever made. Mad Max, Fury Road has no prologue, no pause, no time to blink. It starts in 5th gear and doesn't slow down for 2 hours. In a dead world where gasoline and water are worth more than life, the only way out is driving straight into suicide. And that's exactly what they do. A war on wheels, with 100 real cars crashing for real as explosions rip across the screen, without a single line of fake CGI. This isn't digital action. This is physical brutality, captured with surgical precision. It's the highest point the genre has ever reached. A work that can't be copied, imitated, or repeated. Because it's not a movie, it's a mechanical miracle filmed in hell. 2 hours without rest, without mercy, without a single wasted scene. Just dust, fire, and speed. Furiosa isn't a heroine. She's a steamroller with a metal arm, driving full speed toward redemption. Max isn't her savior, he's her witness. And behind them come the maniacs. Immortan Joe, the War Boys, the drums, the flaming guitarist, a religion of speed and blood. George Miller didn't just direct the greatest action film ever made. He threw it like a grenade at the rest of cinema, and no one, before or since, has come close. Now it's your turn. Which one would you remove? Which one would you add? Leave it in the comments. Let the war begin.